In this video, we'll walk through the best way to check the state of a system from anywhere else in the game code. Specifically, we'll add the ability to check our learned skills or research points, or add research points to our skill tree from anywhere in our game. So similar to the last video, we'll add interface calls that communicate to our skill tree system via our function library. So back in our content browser, we'll start by opening up our interface, and we're going to add 4 functions. We'll add a function to check our research points, and we'll just call that get research points. And that'll output an int called research points. We'll add another function to add research points. And this function would be called from the game, for example, if you have an experience system in your game and it's ticked away for a while, the player has learned enough experience to earn a research point, the experience system might call this function and add a research point to the skill system. This one's going to be an input integer called amount. What amount are we adding? We'll also have a function to check to see if a particular skill is learned. We'll call it isSkillLearned. And a couple theoretical use cases for this. Let's say, for example, your game has a trading system and you can only trade if you've learned the trading skill. So whenever you try to trade or whenever an event happens that would trigger a trade, it would call this function in your skilling system and check to see if the trading skill's been learned. Or let's say, for example, your game has pickpocketing. Similarly, whenever you try to pickpocket, it would call on the skilling system to see if the pickpocketing skill's been learned. So this one will have an input called skill, which will be a name, and an output called yes question mark, which will be a bool. And the last function we'll add is get learned skills. Now this function could be called by, for example, a UI that wants to display all of the possible things that you can craft. Let's say you have a crafting arm in your skill tree and you go to your smithy or your workbench. As soon as it opens up, it would call this, check the skill tree, get all the learned skills, and populate a UI with all the learned skills that you've learned that can craft things. So this one's going to be an output called learned skills, and it's going to be a name array. We'll just add an empty bool output to add research points, just so it's a function instead of an event. And the last thing we'll do in here is we'll drag all of these to the Skill Tree Pro category, because these are all intended to be accessed from in the game somewhere. They're not internal. All of these are things that we can call anywhere in the game. And now, something about interfaces that is very useful that a lot of people don't know is this keywords field. If we enter something here, let's say STP for Skill Tree Pro in the open and close Skill Tree keywords section and compile it, and then somewhere in our blueprint, we can drag off literally anything and type STP. It'll open up this at the top, this open close skill tree. You can also add in multiple keywords, as many as you want, things that you could potentially search for. A useful practice, if you ever want to create a system that's designed to be integrated into multiple projects like this and accessed from all sorts of places in your game, you want to think, what might you type if you want to access this thing? What might you search in blueprints? And you can just put a comma and separate your terms that way. And any of these things that are searched will pull it up at the top of the list. So maybe comma skill tree, st, get skill tree system, skill comp for component. And what I'll do here is I'll copy and paste this entire thing, and I'll make it the keywords for everything in the Skill Tree Pro category. And now I'll compile, and now if I type in any of those things, Skill Tree Comp, we'll see that I have this nice neat little category and only those things come up, so I can see all of the functions that can be called from my game. So this is a nice way to organize things. So now we can close this interface, and we'll go to the components and open up our Skill Tree component, go down to interfaces, Skill Tree Pro, and we'll implement these functions. They're all quite simple. So get learned skills could not be any simpler. Okay, that's done. Is skill learned? Well, we'll also drag in learned skills, and if it contains this skill, then it's learned. That's done. Get research points. That one's done. And add research points. I'm just going to add the amount to this, and we can drag in this update research points and reflect to nodes and enter that here. We don't need to connect the return, and all of these functions are now done and ready to be called from anywhere in our game. So just as a quick example, let's open just a completely random blueprint. It could be an empty new actor blueprint. We'll just open our vendor widget blueprint, totally random. Go over to the graph, and we'll right click in the graph and type in skill, and this is that SkillTree Pro function library. Remember, this accesses directly our SkillTree PC component, so that's the part of the SkillTree system that will always be communicating with from other parts of the game, like this random vendor widget. We'll drag off it and type in one of our search terms in the keywords, skill comp, and we'll see the only things in the list are things with that search term. So this is literally every function in our skilling system that we can call from other parts in the game. And if we want to just test out this functionality and make sure that it's been implemented correctly, we could, in this vendor widget, just drag off the SkillTree Pro and, for example, get research points message, and just connect this unlearned skill button to that temporarily and just do a print string. And then if we fire up our game, we see we have 8 research points. And so if we go to the vendor and click unlearned skill, we see in the upper left, we do indeed have 8 research points that it's getting from the system. And we can test the rest in a similar way to this if we want. So now our skilling system is able to be communicated with in any way we need from any blueprint in any project. In the next and final video of this series, we'll add the ability for customizable things to happen when we train a skill.